Welcome back to the Smith Shiro YouTube channel. We're back again on the Mark 1s, but we got the Mark 1 caddy truck in here. And today what we're going to be doing is swapping out the nozzles for some much bigger nozzles. I think we're going to 216 nozzles, which should smoke as much as you want. I'm not going to be tuning it, so keep that in mind. This is a bone stock TDI from a Mark III, so this is an AHU TDI. We're just gonna throw some nozzles in it. So the first thing we're gonna do is just start it up. I'll give it some revs and we'll take it out on the road and drive it full throttle. We'll see how much boost we're making. We'll see how much smoke we're making. That's the big thing. Everyone doing this mod's probably just gonna want the smoke. Back inside, we're going to start taking the injectors out and replacing the nozzles. I've never done this before, so people say it's easy, other people say it's complicated, so we'll see how it goes together. First thing you got to do is you gotta unplug this little connector here just to make it a little easier. Pop off all the fuel lines. Obviously there's going to be fuel, so you get some rags, shove some rags down there. You got to pull off all the fuel return lines. Pop all these off. After you get all those hoses off, all the fuel hoses, then we got to pull the glow plug harness off, and you also got to come down here and follow the RPM signal. I think it is this brown one, so you got to pop that out because that's going to come with the injector.
Hi, Dad.
Hey bud. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
We're left with just 13s. So these bolts, they have this washer and it'll come off. But you can see it's like conical. So you have to make sure that that conical seat goes down. Otherwise, if you do it like that, it'll break. So make sure you keep these how they go. The little holder forks should just come right off. You see they got these little divots. So once you get them in, they should seat in place, and then these hold the injector down. So like everything on a Volkswagen, there is a special tool to pull these injectors, and it's just something I don't have. So all these are they're held down by this bracket, and then they go into a little compression seal. It's not ideal, but I'm not squeezing very hard. I just put vice grips on the square side of the body, and then I jiggled it, and the injector came right out. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this 3 more times. You be very cautious. You do not want to touch those nipples and break them, because that will leak. If you have a fuel leak, you're done. You need a new injector. So I'm gonna keep repeating this process down the line. Everything's really gross and nasty, so just make sure you clean out everything around here. You don't want anything getting down into the cylinder, because these are direct injections, so those injectors go directly into the chamber, so that'll be right on top of your piston. So make sure you clean everything off as good as possible. The number one thing to make sure you get out are the compression rings. So right here on the end, see that little copper washer? That's your compression ring, and it looks like every single one came out, but I'll still double check, because the guy I bought the car from said that these are replacement injectors, so there's a possibility that there's one down in there. So just double check and be sure before you go reinstalling them. All the injectors are now cleaned up, and I pulled the nozzles out So these are used nozzles. Again, this is something that a lot of people say don't to do. My buddy gave me these. These are 205s. They're not as big as I thought. I'm just going off the part number, so hopefully that's right. But everything's there. I just went through and cleaned and made sure that all the needle plungers, whatever you want to call them, move nice and free. Just going to take them over to the vise and I'll clamp them in down here, and then we'll take the nozzle head, whatever you want to call it, we'll take that loose. You always want to do these upside down because I'm pretty sure like all the guts in the body could fall out if you did it like that. So you just want to put it like that in the vise and then get a 15, I believe it is, and crack that loose. It's pretty gross. Make sure that you pull the copper washer off. I just grabbed it with some channel locks and just wiggled it right off. This stuff seems like it's gonna stay together though. This is the plunger in this nozzle. I don't think it really matters. This is the stuff that you don't want to fall out. Just don't mess with it. Push it out. You literally just push it out. If you had to, you could do it on the back of the vise, but so, there's the nozzle. Now we'll just clean this up and then put the new one on, and should be that easy. Collar's all cleaned up. Now you'll see there's 3 holes. These 2 that are across from each other, they're the posts that go into these, or the holes that these posts go into and lock it. And then right here on the injector, you'll see that's the hole the fuel goes through, so that'll be this extra hole right here. So just make sure you put it on right. Alright. It's on. I'm just gonna use some lithium grease to lube the collar. Drop it on carefully. Make sure it screws on hand tight. The torque setting for this, I'm not sure if it's right, it's just what some dude on the internet said, so that's all I'm doing. It's 33 foot-pounds plus a 33-degree turn, or a 30-degree turn. A 90 is from here to here.
Yeah.
All the nozzles are installed now. All we gotta do is just put new crush washers on them and drop them in. I'll try to give you the part number. There's the part number for them, for these injectors. One little trick is to put 2 dabs of grease on the copper washers so they don't fall off. If you just set them on there, they'll just fall off and you'll have a bad time. But also remember, I was telling you guys that these injectors were replaced by the last guy, and that's why I said make sure you clean down in those holes, blow out air, all that stuff, because I did find another crush washer. So this number 4 cylinder had 2 crush washers on it, so there's a possibility we were losing some compression there. We're ready to just start throwing them in. They should just go in without a problem, so let's give that a test. And now you can use the anchors or locks to see if they're actually all the way down. This one seems pretty far down. So I'll get all these ran in there, and then I'll get out the torque wrench and we'll torque them down. They only get torqued to 15. They will break, so just be careful. Glow plug harness on first. My glow plug harness is destroyed, but we're really not worried about it because it starts up really good when cold. With all these fuel lines, you just start them, leave them. Make sure all the threads go in fine, no issues. Start on the injection pump first. That side's a lot easier to cross thread. These have a torque spec too, but they're also technically supposed to be replaced every time, so I just do it until they feel good. So everything's done now. I also cleaned up everything. Now what you could do to bleed all the injector lines is to crack these loose and crank it until you get fuel out. But I don't want to do that because fuel will shoot out of the lines. And if fuel shoots out of the lines, then you're not going to know what's a fuel leak and what's just because you just let it be loose, you know what I mean? What we're just going to do is just crank it until it starts. Just double checking all the lines now. Everything seems tight. Just go ahead and crank. Let it have a second. Then let it have a second just running. Vibrate up, so that shows you don't have to bleed the lines. Work fine. I'll just check for leaks now. But go ahead and rev it. Rev it again. Pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry. There's not a lot of smoke.
Maybe just a little bit.
Well, we wanted more, honey.
Why?
Because it's fun. Back from the drive, no leaks. At least it gave you guys a good comparison of stock nozzles to these 205s. We thought they were bigger. I thought they were like 215s, but oh well. We will, whenever we go to the bigger turbo, we'll be getting bigger nozzles because it's not enough smoke. That's the whole reason to do it, is to have some smoke. It didn't really feel much peppier. I don't know, it's just, maybe it's because there wasn't that much smoke that I wasn't enthused with it. But now you guys should be able to see how to do nozzle swaps. It's relatively easy. You can see that I did use ones. You guys can check in down the road and see if I stayed with them or if anything bad happened. I'll drive this to work, see if there's any issues. If there's any issues, then we'll have to deal with it. But for now, if you guys like what you saw today, give me a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.